Good morning. It is Wednesday, April 10th, puts us 90 days out from July 9th. DTD2, the database 2, the people we're texting, the people we're calling. You're calling your B's and your E's. So call Barbara, call Edward. I'm joking. You can use first names, last names. I'm not attached or married to what you choose to do insofar as calling first names or last names, as long as this is helping you meander through your phone. That's the important part. Anybody can have a phone full of names. It's calling the names that's important. It's a Seinfeld. Well, it's not a Seinfeld quote, but it's a Seinfeld episode about reservations. If you know, you know. So, yeah, super important because what we historically do, God, he's talking about making phone calls again. Welcome back to the show. What we historically do is we'll call the people that we know we can have a friendly conversation with. You know, if you call your friend Julie every day and you call Julie and you call that one of your phone calls, you're not wrong. It's a phone call you made, although the intent of the phone call wasn't necessarily to look for new opportunities, right? And again, we're not making these phone calls I'm not calling my friend Julie who just moved or just locked into a 4-year deal with her company and I know she's not moving. I'm not calling to find out if she's selling her house today. I'm just staying in relationship. The biggest failure we have in our position within this industry is we feel like our conversation should always be to help somebody buy, sell, or invest in properties, or maybe to come play with us. Yes, end game, sure. The video game of what we do is I'm calling my B's and E's this week, and I'm texting my U's this week to find out who they know that I should know. That's the video game of what we do. Because I hear it all the time. I heard it 75,000 times yesterday. And there's no judgment in what I'm about to say. I hear it all the time because we all feel this way and we have the right to feel this way. And my job as your coach is to never tell you how to feel. It's to help you think differently. Not tell you what to think, to help you think differently. And if you think differently around making the conversations about them, that's all it is. Like the dirty little secret of our industry is if your friends really figured out that you get up and communicate with the people that you know and love and trust every day, and just find out who they know and love and trust that you could help. And that's a long play. That's the process. That's the pathway to our goals. They'll be like, that's pretty cool. And we have to remind ourselves, we don't have to do this. We signed up for this. You went through pre-licensing. You took your test. You maintain your CEUs. We get to do this. If we took that approach, we'd feel differently about calling our B's and E's today and texting our U's. Simply said. We're going to escape out of here at 9 o'clock. You've got contracts all morning. We've got Vermont at 9 o'clock, Maine at 10 o'clock, and then beautiful downtown New Hampshire at 11 o'clock. That's all on KillerTV.com. Don't forget, those are always live action. You're in the room or on the Zoom, and we're Zooming today, so that's KillerTV.com all morning long, Vermont, Maine, New Hampshire, 9, 10, 11 o'clock. We do not record contracts. They are not evergreen conversations, and that's why they're not recorded. Additionally today, Value Squared with Gary, NJ, and Jason, Gary Keller, Jay Papasan, and Jason Abrams will take to the camera again today, this afternoon, 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock our time. So it says 1 to 5. I can tell you they'll run pretty close to that. And this conversation, just like contracts, is ongoing. I don't know how long. I know Gary's doing another one on the 25th, I believe. Don't quote me. We're going to continue to have these Value Squared conversations nationally with Gary. We're also, tomorrow, 10 to 12 in Meredith, going to continue these value conversations locally at our market center level. So JV and Nathan will be leading that conversation tomorrow in Meredith. Tell a friend, grab a friend, join us. 10 to 12 tomorrow in Meredith. That being said, these are longer conversations. Today with Gary is a very long conversation. I would argue that once you've attended one of Gary's Value Squareds right now, do you need to keep attending them? No. I think once you've attended it once, is it maybe good to put them on this afternoon and just have it in the background? Because I can guarantee you the conversation is going to change because they're just going to be having a different conversation about the same material, if you're picking up what I'm putting down. So I don't think you need to be locked and loaded. If you've already attended Gary's Value Squared, do you need to watch it today and take copious notes again? I'm not saying you can't, because you're going to hear something differently, right? They're going to be in a different mode. You're going to be in a different mode. I don't think you can attend this too much. That's an impossibility. But I think if you feel like, well, I've already attended that, I'm going to be working on some other stuff, but just put it on in the background and you hear them making a point, you're like, oh, wait, what? Then you can sort of turn and listen. If that's not your jam, that's fine. Please don't miss these. There's today you can register. It's in the morning news. Click the link. You've got to pick the appropriate date to register for today's date, April 10th. The next one is on the 25th. Those are Gary's. Will he continue these in May and June and July? I would guess they're going to continue this conversation, but I can tell you the next two are today and April 25th. We're doing Meredith. You'll also notice Nathan is going to start some roundtables. Those are coming up. We're just going to keep talking about this. And the reason we're talking about this so much, oh my God, we're still talking about the compensation conversation or the NAR findings, or like, yes, we are going to talk about this now more than ever because we didn't talk about it enough back then. We're talking about it more now because we didn't talk about it enough back then. And I'm not saying everyone's guilty of that, but we all have to sharpen our swords to make up for the buckets of stupidity that roamed around the country and ruined it for most of you. Right? A lot of agents that marched around screaming the four-letter F word, free. Bad idea. Right? So just lock and load into these conversations. If you haven't been part of the Gary Value Squared, that's today. It's worth your while. If you have no weekend plans, it's not that long. If you have no afternoon plans, I would jump into today's for sure. And if you have not yet attended it with our Market Center, you've got JV and you've got Nathan tomorrow, 10 to 12. Same conversation. It's abridged. It's going to be 2 hours, 10 to 12 tomorrow in Meredith. We'll see you there for that. So I can't tell you enough when it comes to this conversation and about us making sure that we are stewards of the paperwork that we are entrusted with. You cannot sharpen your sword enough around these conversations. And it's not about having a silver tongue. It's about having clarity. It's about making sure the people that we are serving understand exactly what is going on, exactly how the transaction takes place, exactly how it is funded, and who funds who. That's how we got here. And I know for most of you, it's like, well, yeah, I never tried to confuse my clients. I was ultra clear. Everyone always signed everything and they had full clarity. Awesome. And I still want you to jump in the room too. Nobody should be giving this the Heisman stiff arm. Like, oh, I got that. I know what they're talking about. I read a couple of sentences on him and I'm good. Nobody's good. We all need to be better. And the people that are super sharp coming out of this conversation, moving into the future of real estate, are the people that are going to run and rule the world. Because there's going to be people that are not willing to lift their arms and continue to fight for our greatness. And they, quoting the great Jonathan Lipnicki from 1995, Jerry Maguire, go ahead and go. Go ahead and go. Before somebody drops a house on you too. That was The Wizard of Oz. I just amalgamated two movies. That'll be on the quiz later. All right, so in that interest, we have to really celebrate the fact that we have contracts on a regular basis. We have to celebrate the fact that we are students of the industry. We have to celebrate the fact you don't have to. I'm not telling you what you have to do. I'm recommending that you celebrate the fact that some of the things that we don't understand that we do all the time here that makes you who you are as a realtor don't happen everywhere. So if you have fallen out of engagement with contracts, you can change today and jump back in. Now, do you need to be in Vermont if you don't have a Vermont license? No. If you're licensed in Maine, 10 o'clock on Wednesday should be sacred. There should be a velvet rope around it. And for most of us, 11 o'clock on Wednesday should be sacred as well. And vacations are going to come up, and things are going to come up, and things are going to get in the way. But notice we put contracts in the morning when we should be doing lead generation. So on Wednesdays, most of your morning, depending on which states you're serving, should be occupied. Hang on a second. My camera's going all wonky. I apologize. Wednesdays, for most of the morning, you should be occupied in contracts. And it's a blessing that we have all this. Now, some people could argue, well, listen, I've been doing real estate for carry the forward, divide by 3 thousands of years, right? Because we've heard this conversation. If you've been in a KW class, it's certainly come up at some point. There's a stage of mastery, the understanding that when you spend at least 10,000 hours pursuing a certain discipline, then you've struck mastery. And I would argue that might be a rough way to look at it. And assuming that mastery was a destination point as opposed to a journey might be a challenging way to look at it. And understanding that mastery isn't, I am the master of all contracts, I understand all things. It's not about being a master of the discipline. It's about being a master of yourself within the discipline. And we say this all the time, and it sounds like we're joking, and we're not. If you can't read a contract upside down across the table because you only have one copy and you want your client to be able to read it, you should be able to read that upside down blindfolded with the lights off. And obviously, there was a couple of sprinkles of sarcasm there. But if you're catching yourself reading the contract to a client, you have to keep spinning it back to you. Yes, if you have a paper copy in front of you. You have to keep spinning it back to you so you can read it, and you can't just point to it and know what it says. We should get to that point. The greatest way to learn a topic is to teach it. The challenge is, how often do we get to a kitchen table to teach it to our clients? Not often enough. So maybe with your peers, maybe with your accountability buddy, maybe with the person that you do your morning deep knee bends with, right before you get on the phone. Do you have a script partner in the morning? Or have we fallen into the mindset that, oh no, I'm above that, I don't need that? And we're all guilty of that. But if right now you have more buyers than you have listings, or you have one buyer and no listings, I would argue that maybe you are not in mastery of your conversations. And again, that is not a destination point. That's not a completion point. Well, I'm done now. It's a journey we go on. None of us are perfect with our language, yet we should strive to be perfect with our word, impeccable with our word. If you ever read the book, The Four Promises, it's one of them is to be impeccable with your word. So when you say something, especially around the contracts that represent the laws of the state and the rights of the consumer, we are not allowed to paraphrase. We need to be impeccable. And I would argue that none of us are there. No one is perfect with it. We should be striving for that. That should be a journey we're on. That's why it is so important. Join us in contracts. The only way to get better is to surround yourself with people that are on the journey with you. And you can do that today. Vermont, Maine, New Hampshire, 9, 10, 11 o'clock. That's all at kellertv.com. Gary and the team at 1 o'clock Eastern with Value Squared for the Nation. We'll see you in that class as well. If I can help with anything, it is 603-834-2856. You can also book my face at meetwithcoach.com. I'll see you in and around the Market Center and the Intertubes. Have a great day.